So you may have noticed I'm using a program for the text content called IA Writer. And luckily for us, IA Writer actually made a typeface which is available for free, and it's pretty good. So they made this a few years ago and it looks really, really nice. There's a few different versions of this, a monospace font, a kind of a duospace font, and a quattro space font. You can kind of see they're a little bit tighter at smaller areas that look like that. Now, I really like the IA Writer Mono, and this has been based on another typeface called IBM Plex. They've kind of added some changes to this, and luckily we can download it for free. So we can actually go to their GitHub repo and actually find the things we want to find. So here I'm on the IA Writer Mono one. I've just Googled IA Writer Mono, and in here they've got the static ones, which is the kind of TTF default ones. They've got some web fonts in here, which is the WAF and WAF2 stuff that we had previously, but they've also got a variable type in here, and I want to be using, could use the regular, but also I like the italic one. So if I want to use this, I just click here, I can click download, and then I can add it to my project. So this is exactly what we're going to do. So in my current project, I do actually have this typeface set up. I already downloaded it here. So how do I use this in my project? Well, similar to what we did in the first few projects, what we're going to do is add this as a font face. So why font face? Why not at import, let's say? Well, we're hosting this file. So here what I'm going to do is at font face, which is an instruction to the page to load this font. So I want to call this font family. Well, what's it called? IA Writer Mono. And where is this hosted? Well, are we using the italic, or are we using the regular version, or are we using something else? I like to just say which one it is, which is the font style is italic, because it could be either. And then what I want to do is pull it into my page using the source. The source of this is URL in brackets. And where is this? IA Writer mono v for variable dash italic. And then what type is this? .ttf. So I'm just going to include that as well, .ttf. Now what that means is I can then use this in my project. At the moment I'm currently using Arial, so let's change that to this. So instead what we're going to do is just change Arial to IA Writer. If I spell that correctly, it would help. Mono. So now if I look at the project, of course what we see is something that looks like this. I actually want to just reflect this all over as being italic. So just to match this up as above, font style is also italic too. There we go. Looks pretty good. Now the next thing I want to do is actually change the font size. Now my kind of final project, if I zoom this in and out, we can see this is reflected based on the browser width. So what do I want to do here? Well, I'm going to make this font size depend on the size of the page in actually both directions. So if I go smaller and bigger and make this kind of, you can see it going longer this way as well. So I've got two different directions to kind of play with here. So similar to what I did with this Vmax, which is based on both the width and the height, I'm actually going to change the font size to something similar to that. And for this, I'm going to change it to 4 Vmax. So be based on the browser width and height. Now, generally, it can be a bad idea to use Vmax for any small type because it's not resizable. Just to kind of show you that, if I zoom in, it doesn't really change size. The padding is changing, but the text isn't. So generally use Vmax or any kind of VH or VW for large type only. It's not zoomable, and that's bad for accessibility. So what we want to do here is actually just make sure it's available at big sizes. Now with the line height, again, it feels a little bit like there's too much space between here. I'm just going to tighten that up a little bit, maybe from 0.5 to 0.3, let's say. And there we go. It should be a little bit tighter on the page. So now what we've got is our typography in place. We could add some variability to this, but what we want to do in the final project is actually change the text itself. We're not changing the style of the text, we're changing the text itself.